Well, Buck fans. I hope you didn't go to sleep last night. I know for 57 minutes, the Bucs tried to put you to sleep, but you don't be lying to us. We know deep down if you went to sleep or not and turned off the TV in the Bucs dramatic 17-16 Monday Night Football win over the hated rival New Orleans Saints. Tom Brady, 2 touchdowns in the last 3 minutes. We're going to get into that. Peter Blake,
Yes.
welcome in, Peter Blake.
It's great to be here, my friend, on a winning edition of the No Quarter Given. And you're exactly right. For the majority of the game, you were put to sleep. If you had insomnia, it was the cure-all for it until, of course, the Brady magic there the last 3 minutes of the game. Just amazing, frustrating, just so many emotions ran through my head. And I do a post-game edition of the Sports Web, and I'm getting ready just to
lambaste them.
Yes. And then all of a sudden, here we go again. Tom Brady with doing Tom Brady things. So it's amazing at this juncture.
The Bucs improved to 6-6. Again, dramatic 17-16 win. Scored, the game-winning touchdown pass Brady to Rachaad White. 3 seconds left in the game. And we're going to get into some of the strategy and some of the drama that led up to all that first. But just give me, and we're going to provide the Bucs the fans a little news just as we're recording this. Jalen Darden, the return man, 4th-round draft pick from a year ago, one of Peter Blake's favorites, I know.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody mentioned that on Facebook. They're like, he's your favorite wide receiver. He's not my favorite wide receiver. I wish him well. But as I've always said, I felt like the Bucs could do a little bit better, a lot better for a punt returner than a Jalen Darden. So happy trails. We'll see what the Bucs do. Is it Scotty Miller? Is it somebody else? Are they going to elevate a wide receiver? Or are they going to go outside of the organization? Because I got tired of the guy fair catching when there's nobody around. I got tired of the guy falling down like Traction Jackson there, Dexter Jackson, not the Super Bowl MVP, the guy they drafted in the 2nd round out of Appalachian State. You know who I'm talking about. When this team passed up on Deshaun Jackson, that guy. I got tired of this guy running out of bounds. So once again, I think anything would be an improvement over Jalen Darden. So once again, happy trails. Good luck to him.
Yep.
Let's move on at this point.
Before we get into the game, the key why this game was so important, other than the dramatic win, is it now gives the Bucs breathing room in the South. There's no more. You're up 2 games on everybody. New Orleans is done. Atlanta's all but done. So you really have some room for error now because you got 2 tough games coming up. San Francisco, Cincinnati, which we'll talk about. But now this really gives the Bucs some breathing room, and they can really. All you got to do is really win probably 2 more games, and you're locked to win the division. Probably 3 is absolutely guaranteed, but 2 more wins, and you're going to win the division. And you got some very winnable games after the next 2. So the pressure of having to win one of these next 2 is still important, but it's not critical as it would have been now that you got a multiple game lead.
And the last time Jason Powers, the Bucs swept the New Orleans Saints, 2007. You remember that year?
Not good, I don't think.
Jeff Garcia, I believe, was the starting quarterback. That team was eliminated because they did make the playoffs. They did playoffs. Yes, they had a 1st-round game against the New York Giants.
Yep, Strahan and company. Strahan, Eli.
Yep. Brandon Jacobs beat him in the 1st round, but that's the last time they swept the Saints. I forgot about that, but they did. That's how good that team was that year, I guess, or lack thereof in that 1st round. And then, of course, the Giants went on to win the Super Bowl and beat who?
The undefeated
New England Patriots and Tom Brady.
And again, all your Bucs info, go to buckpower.com. This podcast is part of the buckpower.com podcast network. Go see Paul Stewart on Buck Power TV for all of his montages. He's going to provide a montage of the 49ers coming up here when we're done breaking down the game. So you're going to be able to hear that as well. So again, all your Buck knowledge and all that stuff, buckpower.com is the place to go. All right, let's get into the game.
Yes.
Great first drive for the Buccaneers. They hold the ball for about over 8 minutes, go down the field. They show some creativity. They show some balance. They get some runs, some completions. But again, we get inside the 10-yard line, and here comes the famous wide receiver screen for nothing. They don't throw one ball in the end zone on that drive when they had goal to go, which was to me just very. That's just, you can't do that. When you got goal to go, one of the 3 plays has to be a throw in the end zone. They don't do it. They end up having to kick a field goal, which you have to kick the field goal. You can't go for it. You got to get points, but disappointing that they don't get a touchdown. But impressive that they go 16, 17 plays, hold the ball for 8+ minutes.
Yeah, but again, a field goal is not going to win you games at the end of the day. And I just love, the creativity, if you will, this offensive staff, not to go with the fade to Mike Evans, not to use the size and Julio Jones at that point, not to use Chris Godwin. Instead, you go with the screen. And by the way that was drew up, great job by Julio Jones setting the block there. Oh, wait, there's a problem with that. Jones is on your team. He got in the way of Chris Godwin. That's a problem in itself. Enough of the screens and enough of running the ball on first down, although they were somewhat good on that first drive with doing that. But again, you got to change it up. And then on top of that, and I know you're going to mention this, but Tom Brady missed some throws last night. Some big-time plays, a couple to Julio Jones.
Scotty Miller open on a long one down the sideline.
Yep, underthrew that, and who knows? If you hit those guys in stride, it's a different game. But at the end of the day, you got to start completing those, and that's the key to this success of the team last year. Those 20-yard plays, they're number 1 in the National Football League. This year, not so much.
Yeah, and again, after that first drive, New Orleans kind of takes control of the game after that. Taysom Hill scored the touchdown on a bad play by Keanu Neal. Again, I hate Keanu Neal in pass coverage. He's having to play on more plays than needed because of the injuries in the secondary with Winfield out, with Murphy Bunting out. So I get it. He has to play, but he's not a good pass defender at all. Got exposed by Taysom Hill on another bust. And again, New Orleans just methodically, you let Andy Dalton just keep dinking and dunking, keep the chains moving, and they get out to a 7-3, 10-3, then 13-3, 16-3 lead. Just methodically, like you said, the Bucs could not put together any drives. You mentioned Brady missed a couple throws. The protection wasn't bad. I think they gave up maybe 2 sacks. The protection was pretty decent for the most part. But again, after that first drive, struggled to run the ball. You saw a little bit of Fournette. But again, Rachaad White's kind of looked like, to me, he's getting probably 60% of the snaps at tailback. I think you're seeing a changing of the guard at tailback.
You should. And you saw Lenny had a little bit of a burst, but again, it looks like he's running with a piano on his back at some points during the game. He's either hurt or he's out of shape.
Right.
Rachaad White gives them a little bit more than that. Again, he's dynamic. He has the speed. He's elusive. He can catch the ball. But Jason Powers, he can't put the ball on the ground, and he did that later on in the game. And it somewhat cost the Bucs because the Saints scored 6 points off of turnovers. Once again, the defense, proving once again they're going to keep this team in the game no matter what.
And Tom and Mike still are having some issues on getting connected. I don't know if it's the play calling. You and I don't see the all 22, so we don't know if the plays that the ball's not going to Evans, is Evans open on those plays. We don't know that because of the cover. We don't see that. Only they see that. So, I mean, I'm not going to kill them. Evans did end up with 4 or 5 catches there second half, so that's good. It was good to see. He obviously was critical in drawing that 50-yard pass interference call that set up the first touchdown to get to 16-10. So I like to see that. That was good to see. But again, whatever reason, Evans and Tom just are not on the same page.
No, and I don't think he's necessarily 100%. Not that every football player isn't 100%, right? I mean, everybody's hurt, banged up, but it certainly seems like Evans has some rib problems on top of it. He's not getting necessarily the separation. And when he does get the separation, which if you watched the first sideline pass to Julio Jones, not only is Jones open, but Mike Evans is open, probably more open than Jones. Tom just doesn't see him. He sees Julio instead, tries to go to him, overthrows him. But I guarantee you, if you told me that Mike Evans, the majority of the night, was not going to get the ball, that would be Marshawn Lattimore was covering him. He wasn't in the game. He didn't play in the game. So I don't understand the game plan. He gets 1 pass for 14 yards before halftime, and that was it. I expected a bigger showing, especially with Evans and how difficult it's been, getting defended by Lattimore.
All right, let's get to the good stuff. It was 16-3, about a couple coaching decisions that had to be made. One, late third, I think it was late third quarter, right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. The Bucs on 4th and 5 from the on the 40-yard line again, the scoring 40, decide to punt. I just don't understand what Todd's thinking. And I get you're a defensive guy, and I think you always think, oh, the defense is going to hold them, but you can't, and your guy, the punt god, on that situation, you hear Brady drop the F-ball on the sideline. It's because Camarda kicks the ball 8 yards deep in the end zone when it's 4th and 5 from the 40, which is just a ridiculous play by Camarda. You can't have that as the punter. So, I mean, I hated that decision. To me, that was the worst decision than punting from the 25 later on.
It's the foreshadowing, right? I mean, it goes back to Todd Bowles and his comments of not believing in Tom Brady, putting the ball in Tom Brady's hands, thinking that he's going to throw an interception. It's time to let Brady make the calls. It's time to let Brady call the plays, and it's time for this team to have urgency. And if you have an opportunity to go for 4th and 5 and you have nothing going at that point, at least you'll have some execution with your punter doing the right thing. Booming it through the end zone does absolutely nothing, makes no sense at all. And it's the fallacy of having a defensive-minded coach. I get it, they win the game, but these are the type of games you're going to win. It's going to be tough to do that over and over again. I get it. The defense is 5th in the National Football League, but they have injuries. They've had moments where they're giving up big plays, communication breakdowns, and you would rather have that offense be more aggressive with all the weapons. And we're still sitting here in week 13 talking about this team not able to score more than 17, 18 points a game. It's got to change, and it starts with coaching. It starts with the philosophy of stop trying to be a defensive-minded coach, have confidence in your offense, and have confidence in the greatest of all time. Let Brady make the calls.
And then as far as the punting, I'm not here to kill Camarda, but the other punts, several other punts in the game they were distance-wise great, but the hang time was too flat, which set up a couple long returns for the Saints. Again, it's hard. Again, I've punted, so I understand it's
Came
not
back down to earth. It was a bad game.
He's not a punt god. We're not putting him in the Hall of Fame, Peter Blake.
Not yet, but I tell you right now, he has definitely been a weapon for this team.
He's helped. He's had a good year.
Big-time picks, and if that's not one, it's Cade Otton and, of course, Rashard White later on. But Carmona has had a good year.
He has.
Not a great night last night. Definitely.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to the other big decision. About 6 minutes to go in the game.
We all know, by the way, Jalen Darden's your boy, so that's why you're up there. You're just taking this out on me right now.
4th and 10 on the 25 with about 5.5, 6 minutes to get. I don't have the biggest problem in the world with him punting there because it's 4th and 10. If the Bucs haven't made a 4th and 10 or a 3rd and 10 in forever, I know everybody says go for it. I get it. But I don't have the biggest problem in the world for him punting there because the game is truly over if you don't make it there.
Right. Well, 3 for 47 this year when the Bucs
face 10 plus yards.
Yes, 3 for 47. That's amazing in itself, and that's the problem. You have to have manageable third downs all night long, which means you got to stop running the ball. And if you do run the ball, you got to at least get 4 to 5 yards on that first down, or basically you got your back against the wall and you're looking at 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, or you pick up a penalty. So you're exactly right. At the time, did I like the call? No, I didn't. Was it the right call?
Yeah.
Yes, it was. But once again, it goes back to the conservative nature of Todd Bowles. He's got to get out of this. He's got to have confidence in Tom Brady. And I almost feel like Brady was going to stay on the field, and it really shows you how much control he does have of this offense or doesn't have of this offense, because he was trying to stay on the field. Of course, the punter gets on the field. And, those drives in itself, a net yardage of 20 and 28 by Carmona. It's not going to get it done because you had a long return on that punt.
All right, let's go to the help that the Saints provided. We punt the ball away 4th and 10. New Orleans has Mark Ingram runs out of bounds, would easily have gotten a first down. First of all, he could have put his head down and easily got the first down. And 2, he runs out of bounds, stopping the clock. So he sets up 3rd and 1. Then New Orleans tries to run a little tricky slant pattern on 3rd and 1. Incomplete, stops the clock. Again, plays right into our hands there with Dennis Allen and company. He's another guy similar to Bowles. Great, very good defensive coordinator, but as a head coach, a lot of questions about his viability. We catch a break, and to the Bucs' credit, they punt the ball back to us. We then start marching down the field, which sets up the Mike Evans interference call. They leave their corner exposed, which surprised me as well. Why you're not playing too deep and forcing Brady to dink and dunk it and burn the clock, I don't know. But the Bucs get the deep post route that turns into pass interference, and it's now 16-10 with about 3 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah, you go 91 yards. And again, this is the reason why you have Mike Evans involved in the game plan in the first place, because he's a mismatch nightmare. You can't guard 6'5", 6'6" with deceptive speed with a guy who can absolutely get separation on any given night. Maybe he hasn't done it lately, but he did it on that play.
Yep.
That was a huge play that sets up the Otten touchdown.
So the Saints get the ball, about 2:50 left. The good thing is, I think one of the reasons why the Bucs punted earlier was they had their timeouts. Had they burned a timeout or two before that, they would have gone for it 4th and 10 because of the time factor. First down stop. The critical play was 2nd down. I thought they were going to throw the ball, and that was probably the right play. But if you're Andy Dalton, you cannot take a sack there. Takes a 7 or 8 yard sack by Carl Nassib. Great job by Nassib and the coverage and the defensive backfield to cover. But if you're Andy Dalton, you can't take a sack there. Either throw the ball away to save 3rd and 8, but you can't lose 8 more yards, because that just sets up the 3rd down, that it's a give-up play. You're not going to risk it there through the Saints. The Bucs now get off the field again. They still have 1 timeout after 3rd down, which is a plus. Your thoughts on that play selection there by the Saints?
Well, if you watch the replay, Nassib looks like Bobby Boucher from The Waterboy. I mean, he is absolutely looking to crush Andy Dalton. They were making a joke about this. He absolutely looked at him, sets up that 3rd and 17. And of course, that is a critical play because it looks like Taysom Hill, a buck killer, is wide open. But
and you're right. I should amend what I said. It wasn't a give up play. New Orleans went for it, and Dalton made an unbelievable throw into 3 deep coverage.
Right, and Keanu Neal, Jamel Dean's there, but Keanu Neal with the play of the night after giving up that wide open touchdown to Taysom Hill. He redeems himself, and that's when the Bucs get back the ball. A huge play right there by Neal.
And I'll give Neal full credit, because earlier in his career, he's had some reputation of hitting guys high. Correct. Perfect form tackle, not hitting the guy in the hell. Taysom Hill in the head, hit right on the ball. Jamel Dean had a hand in there as well. So just great. That's technique right there. That's what Todd Bowles wants to see out of the defense. Technically sound. Don't try to make too much of a play. Make the play on the ball.
Correct. Absolutely.
All right. So the Bucs don't have any turnovers again. Have a couple sacks. Still struggling with outside pressure. Again, give Keanu Neal and Dean full credit, but what a throw by Dalton. I mean, that's just you got to give him credit. That was just a great football play all around. Dalton makes the great throw. Neal and Dean make the great defensive play. The Bucs now get the ball back at about the 25, 27-yard line. Plenty of time, and now it's Tom Brady time. This is why he's the GOAT. That's why he's the greatest 2-minute quarterback of all time. And the hurry-up offense is back in play now.
Just run the whole hurry-up offense the whole game.
I agree.
Just run it until the wheels fall off or until you get tired. Because if you run that offense, first and foremost, you wear out that defense because the defense can't substitute. Yes. Furthermore, you show urgency and you allow Brady to do what he does best, which is call plays, quick clock management, smart guy, IQ, greatest of all time. Why not? Why are they continuing the same offense and not running with some urgency? I hope they do it against San Francisco. Come out, punch them in the mouth, run a 2-minute offense, trick them, wear their defense out, and then take the lead. Just saying.
And I'll give Leftwich credit. They mixed in a couple running plays there, whether that was Brady calling it or Leftwich. They mixed in a couple running plays at the right time. They got a first down right before the 2-minute warning with it. After they got a 7 or 8 yard run, so give them credit. They mixed in a couple running plays. Now we get inside the red zone, and it's Donovan Smith time to try to kill us here at left tackle. Donovan Smith, since he's been in the league, and again, we're not trying to be ultra critical. We're just telling the facts. Has had more holding calls than any left tackle in the league since he's been in the league.
Most penalized player this year, and his PFF grade has gone down. Last year was great. This year, not so much. In fact, he's one of the lowest left tackles ranked out there. So you could say whatever you want to if you're a Donovan Smith fan or you're not. But at the end of the day, he's losing technique, and he's definitely regressed this year. And I think it's a combination of things, trying to do too much. And then on top of it, the loss of an Ali Marpet,
Yeah.
and you're playing next to a rookie. So once again, you're trying to do as much as you can, and you don't necessarily have that chemistry. We've seen it around the National Football League. When you don't have that consistency on your offensive line, your quarterback pays, your whole team pays.
Yeah, and so they throw the ball, they throw the play that, again, give Julio Jones credit, made a great catch on the sideline on a contested ball. I like that Tom went to Julio, big body, big target, good catch. Clear holding on Donovan. You had to call it. You couldn't allow on the touchdown pass to Godwin. If you have to call that. It was an egregious hold. You have to call that. So there's no complaints. There shouldn't be any complaints by Buck fans about the hold. That's one you have to call. I mean, I hate to say it, you have to call it. So here's what I like though. After the holding, the Bucs didn't try to force it in the end zone every play. He threw the nice out route to Godwin. They got 6 or 7 yards, and they got back to the 6 or 7 yard line after the holding. I like that they did that and didn't try to jam a ball in the end zone 3 straight times.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I like the play calling on that. And again, I don't necessarily think that's Byron Leftwich. I think that's Tom Brady.
But give them credit. I mean, we don't know who did it, but I like that the strategy of not trying to get it all at one time.
Sure.
All right. So now we're down to 8 seconds left in the game. I didn't love how they wasted. They used a little too much time there. They still had a timeout. They didn't end up using the last timeout in the game. The game was ended with one timeout for the Buccaneers, which is pretty incredible to think. I like the mismatch going after the middle linebacker with Rachaad White. He's got the quickness and a little bit of a wiggle. Nice move to the cut back to the outside. Brady, a subtle little move in the pocket. If you saw the replay, you saw a subtle little step to the inside in the pocket that gave Brady the lane to throw the ball to White. Give him credit. That's why, again, he's not athletic, but he knows how to manipulate the pocket so well.
Absolutely. And you say it so well. I mean, the subtle movement there, it tricks DeMario Davis a little bit. I believe that's the linebacker on the coverage.
Yep.
You got Rachaad White, 6 catches last night, 9 last week. There certainly seems like there's some confidence in this kid, and there should be, because he's catching the ball right now. He's doing everything that he needs to do to contribute to this team, and you got to be happy for him as a rookie making that big play. It's just huge for this team going forward.
Last thing we'll talk about, and then we'll get to the montage with Paul Stewart, the defense. Still lacking in turnovers. I don't know what as coaches say, turnovers tend to come in bunches. The Bucs, I think, have had 2 turnovers in the last 7 or 8 games total, which is crazy to think. The pass rush is just not good enough. We're starting to see the lack of not having Shaq Barrett. The edge rusher, we're not seeing much out of Shoyinka. Nassib's a decent player.
He's a liability on the run, and that's why.
But you have to play him. They got nobody else.
Well,
you got to play him.
You got Nassib, and that defense played better last night, I believe, because they cut down his repetition.
Okay.
So until Shoyinka learns how to play the run consistently and get after the quarterback consistently, I think that's what you have to go with. You have to go with and just say JTS is basically a rotational player at this juncture, and Nassib proved that when
he's a good player.
He's always been a good player. He was a good player when JPP was out with the injury. Is he a great player? He's a good player. He's a rotational player. So you can rotate those two in and out until JTS once again gets better against the run, especially against the run.
But you got to give the Bucs defense credit. The couple times they held them after the interception to no points. So they didn't allow that first down on the last couple drives that you had to stop them. So give Bowles and the defense credit. They stopped them when they had to. A little fortunate with the play calling by New Orleans, but the Bucs got the stop. So Bucs win 17-16. They take control of the South. Huge win on Monday Night Football. We thought a couple weeks ago the huge win in the Rams would galvanize and kind of propel them forward. It did going into the Munich game. Hopefully this game will be another propelling of them forward as we wrap up the last 5 weeks of the season. Just your final thoughts, 17-16 final.
Huge win against a team that, at the end of the day, it goes back to, if they're a snake in the grass, you got to cut their head off. And that team basically outplayed the Bucs for about 3.5 quarters, the majority of the game. Andy Dalton was probably the better quarterback. But once again, instead of years past where you get embarrassed on primetime television and you lose to the Saints and possibly get them back into the division race, you take care of business, and that's what good teams do. And I still think Tampa Bay is a good team. They got things to work on. We continue to talk about it week after week, but hopefully they get healthy and hopefully they can clean some of these mistakes up.
And the good thing I liked out of the team was after that game when they scored the touchdown, you saw the emotion by everybody.
Yep.
Bowles, Brady was so excited. The linemen, everybody was into it. Again, to me, this is a kind of game. It's ugly and it's an ugly win, but this is a kind of game that maybe galvanizes and frees up this Buccaneer roster from an emotional perspective. Not so tense, not so antsy. I get it. We're not playing well enough on offense, but maybe this is the kind of joy that you want to see out of the Buccaneers.
And you saw Brady at the end of it, LFG.
Yeah.
He didn't say it like that. He hugged Tristan Wirfs. Looked pretty good there with Tristan Wirfs on that ankle. So maybe he'll come back here
sooner rather than later.
Right. And that'd be great. But again, hats off to Brady, hats off to that offensive line, and hats off to the whole team, even the coaching staff going through that adverse situation and being able to come out on top.
All right, Buck fans, we're going to go to Paul Stewart and his montage. Remember, buckpower.com. All stats, all video, anything you need Buck related, go to buckpower.com. We're part of the buckpower.com podcast network. And also go on Paul Stewart's Buck Power TV YouTube channel. You can see this video montage if you want to see the video of this as well. And you're going to get to hear it, of the San Francisco 49ers and the Bucs rivalry. We've had some memorable games over the years. I remember Montana back in the day. You know, we played Steve Young back in the day. We've had some, you know, Mariucci and some of those things.
Reynolds had some great games versus Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. I've had him on my show before. We got to have that guy on again, but he's had some great games against them. And then on top of it, I think it all started in 97 for me.
Playoff game.
Well, not just the playoff game, the 97, the first game where you take out Steve Young, you take out Jerry Rice, and that defense basically arrives at that point. You can see the year before when they went up to Green Bay and they gave Brett Favre and that Green Bay Packer offense everything they could handle. I think they'd lose that game. Go to buckpower.com to check this. 13-6. You knew the defense arrived. But nationally, from that perspective, when they took out Steve Young, they took out Jerry Rice, and they beat the 49ers. In a
opening day. I think it was opening day, wasn't it?
13-10. It was opening day. The game was not on TV, but everybody at that point, and that's when the Bucs started out 5-0. That started it all out right there.
And let's give a shout out to former Buccaneer quarterback Trent Dilfer, named the head coach of my alma mater, my UAB Blazers up in Birmingham.
How
Trent was named.
Are you excited?
I am actually. I think Trent's going to do a good job, man. I like Trent. Won his second. He won a state championship at his high school in Nashville. UAB. That's a great move. The more I thought about it, that'd have been a great move for USF. Again, we'll see what Alex Golesh is going to do at USF. But a guy like Trent Dilfer, with the connections he has in the professional world with coaches and players and scouts and all that stuff, I think Trent Dilfer is going to do a great job at UAB, my alma mater, where I was once a former, kicker, punter, and all that. Congrats to my Blazers for making a very good out-of-the-box hire in Trent Dilfer.
Good for Trent. Absolutely great for Trent.
All right, we'll be going to Paul Stewart, San Francisco 49ers Buccaneer rivalry montage, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. All right, Buck fans, welcome back to No Quarter Given. Hopefully enjoyed the montage presented by Paul Stewart in lovely England, as his English side is still alive in the World Cup. That's ongoing, so I'm sure Paul, I don't think Paul's a big soccer fan, so I don't think he's going to be up watching. I don't think he is.
Paul is absolutely a major soccer fan.
Sure about that?
Oh, absolutely. I've been talking to him all
Okay, all right. His English are looking good. They're in the quarterfinals.
Yes, they are.
They got a huge tussle with the French. Les Bleus. Les Bleus.
God bless you.
Kylian Mbappe, Peter Blake. Look him up. Kylian Mbappe.
Okay. I'm not going to try to say that, by the way, either.
Kylian Mbappe. I'll give you credit. You did call Pulisic scoring the game-winning goal in the Iran game, so I'll give you credit, Peter Blake.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. I should have took it to Vegas, too. I should have bet on that game. Yes.
I might have had a couple shekels on the USA to win the game, too, in that game. So, all right.
Did you win?
They won 1-0. USA won 1-0.
So how much shekels did you have on that game?
Not enough. Not enough. Not enough. I didn't have enough to have a big night out at the gentleman's club with you, Peter Blake, over there on West Shore.
Right. Because you're my chauffeur. You're the one that's taking me around. You're my DD, my friend. That's you.
Ah,
You keep on mentioning this.
I
People are
just
going to
like to
start
give you a
making
hard
up
time,
on it.
Peter Blake.
Hey, listen, you were right about that, though. The 49ers in that playoffs, that
Yep.
2002 year with Jeff Garcia and T.O. How
That's
about
it.
that? So what was that? 27-3?
Something bad. The Bucs won convincing. For sure.
I feel like I got to look it up now on buckpower.com.
All right, let's get to the 49er preview here.
Yes.
6-6 against 8-4. Big news here, obviously, no Jimmy Garoppolo. Brock Purdy's now the guy for the foreseeable future. I think that's an advantage for the Buccaneers. He came in and played well. Give him credit. He played well in his relief duty against the Dolphins. Weapons galore. You got Samuel, you got CMC, you got Ayuk, you got Kittle. But again, Brock Purdy, this is a chance for Todd Bowles to show what kind of scheme he can put together to confuse a young quarterback. They're not going to put the ball in his hands to win the game, but you got to figure out ways to disrupt Brock Purdy in that offense.
Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant himself from Iowa, well coached by Kurt Ferentz, of course.
Iowa State, Matt Campbell.
Was it Iowa State?
Iowa State.
My bad. All right, so Matt Campbell, there you go. Thank you very much for
had a good career at Iowa State. He was a 4-year starter, played a lot of football.
Yes, he did, and I tell you right now, that's the San Francisco offense. Don't lose the game. Quarterback, don't turn over the ball, run the ball with CMC. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt. It seems like he's hurt every other week. You got Deebo Samuel. You're absolutely right. And you look at the list of quarterbacks that the Bucs have lost to this year. You got PJ Walker. You got the greatness of Mitchell Trubisky, Jacoby Brissett. So it's not set in stone that the Bucs are going to beat this team, but they need to start beating a quarterback like this. He's a rookie quarterback. There's a reason why he's Mr. Irrelevant. You need to take care of business, and it needs to start on Sunday, and it has to start on Sunday. You have to start stacking these wins. And if you want to be an upper echelon team, you have to come out, you have to score first, you have to play defense, you can't turn over the ball, you can't have critical penalties at critical times, and you have to get pressure on this rookie quarterback. You have
Here's what I'll say. If you're the Bucs, 2 points I'll make. One, this is from a standings perspective. The Bucs are 2 games behind the Niners for the 3 seed. If you can somehow you win this game, you now got the tiebreaker over the Niners and only be 1 game behind them. If you can somehow get to the 3 seed instead of the 4 seed, you avoid Philadelphia or Dallas in that wild card round. You'd much rather play Washington or the Giants potentially than have to see Dallas or Philadelphia in that wild card game. And 2, if you're the 3 seed, you're probably going to see Minnesota if you win the wild card game and not have to go to either Dallas or Philadelphia in the second round. So if you can somehow win this game, get 1 game behind and end up tied in the standings at the end, you'll have the head-to-head with the 49ers.
Absolutely. And the big time impact is what is going to be the impact without a Jimmy Garoppolo? How is it going to affect this team? Because I get it. They could beat a Miami Dolphins team, which you would think is upper echelon, but when you're missing both of your offensive tackles, it's kind of a different offense. Tua wasn't as accurate. Not taking away from the win of the 49ers, it's still a huge win. I was surprised by it, but let's see what this kid can do, because as we know, defensive coordinators can start to pick up on tendencies that quick, and maybe they start to pick up on those tendencies for Mr. Irrelevant on Sunday.
I would, if I'm the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this is assuming you have Winfield back, Murphy Bunting back, I play these guys locked down, man-to-man, stop the running game, put the ball in Brock Purdy's hands. They are not a down-the-field threat. They don't have burners at the wide receiver. Thick, they got Deebo Samuel's not a burner. He's thick and muscular and all that. Kill's not a burner. Put the ball in Purdy's hands, make him throw the ball in tight windows, and I think you'll have an opportunity to get a couple picks. Again, if you pay Carlton Davis $18 million, go cover Deebo Samuel. You're paying Winfield big money, going to pay Winfield big money, go cover George Kittle. This is the game. You put the ball in Brock Purdy's hands and make him throw for 300 yards, because you cannot let the horizontal offense, the screens, the misdirection stuff, Christian McCaffrey, you can't let them dominate the game with the time of possession.
Agree. And then on the other side of the ball, this offensive line has a challenge because this is the
Yep.
number one defense in the National Football League.
Yep.
And you knew
Front
John
four.
Lynch,
Front four.
Yep. John Lynch running this team, that they were going to have a great defense. They've had a great defense for the last couple of years now, led by Nick Bosa. We'll see how many injuries are going to be on that injury report for this 49er team, because they've been beset by some of these injuries, and that's still not hurt them because they continue to win. So they're a scary team on both sides of the ball. And at the end of the day, you got to have all three phases. Yes, no Jalen Darden.
Yep.
James Carmana's got to play a lot better. Ryan Suckup.
It's going to be a field position kind of game. This could be a low-scoring field position kind of game.
Correct.
2 points I'll make, and we'll get out of here.
Yep.
If I'm the Buccaneers this week, I'm going hurry-up offense. One, it minimizes the ability to substitute, and two, it wears out these defensive linemen. This is the week I want to see up-tempo, let Tom Brady call it at the line. Even if you don't snap plays off fast, don't huddle. Stay spread out. Make it simplistic, more simplistic on defense. What calls they can make, things like that. Because I think if you can tire out that defensive line, then you got a chance to hit some pass plays. Because to me, their corners aren't great. They don't have great corners. Good corners, not great corners. But the front four is the devastating part of the team. And the last point I'll make, and we got to get out of here. We're running out of time.
Sure.
Tom Brady's homecoming to the Bay Area. You don't think this guy's going to be motivated to have a big game in front of his family and all his friends that are in the San Francisco area? I do.
Oh, absolutely. He's going to be motivated. And that's even more motivation for him to come out and beat this team, because he wants to beat this team, because just a couple years ago, the 49ers basically passed on him to go with the greatness of Jimmy Garoppolo. So Brady, prove yourself. Buccaneers, come out. Quick prediction, 23-20 Tampa Bay over the 49ers.
I'm with you. I think 21-17 kind of game, low scoring game. Bucs figure out a way to get it done. Mike Evans scores a touchdown this week as well. Tell the dog we said hello. 6-6 with the barking. We like it.
Yes.
Peter Blake, great job.
Thank you.
Bucs fans, 4:00 game this week on the West Coast. Let's go, Bucs fans. Next home game, Cincinnati next weekend. Have a great week, Peter Blake. And Bucs fans, No Quarter Given Podcast, thanks for joining us. Let's go, Bucs fans. Let's go to 7-6. See you next week.